right, good evening, everybody. So we are on the corner of 5th Street. This is South Beach, Miami, Florida. Good Saturday night to everybody. Hopefully you all are having a fantastic weekend so far. Now, if you continue to head down this road, I actually forget which street this is. I think this is 5th Street. You'll actually go over the bridge and that'll take you down into downtown Miami. Now, past these palm trees right here, you could see sort of like, I don't know, like an illuminescent building. That's actually the Paramount building where we usually live. But I don't know, I was here at the WeWork in South Beach, which is a pretty cool place. Now, this is closed on the weekends, but if anybody works out of the WeWork office here in South Beach, you have a really, really nice outdoor deck where you can get some work done, which is pretty cool. I didn't get to go up there today because it was closed. So I think we are gonna head towards Ocean Drive. So Ocean Drive here in South Beach is really the main, I would say, tourist attraction where a lot of the Art Deco buildings are. So I think it'll be cool to, I don't know, take a walk up and down Ocean Drive. We're gonna be live for about an hour. And as you guys know, on Saturdays, we do not have a specific topic as it relates to the financial markets. We sort of just hang out, and then Sunday will be our markets a look ahead live stream where we will cover all of the major events that will be happening for the week ahead on Wall Street. So let's see who we have in the chat. I see my friend Dr. Longis, what's up? Austin City Limits, FredX, welcome. RJ from Colorado, good to see you. Now, I'm not too sure how good the internet is here in South Beach. Usually we stream live from downtown Miami and Brickell. So I guess we'll find out tonight. I see Ryan Beck, Hawaii is here. Natalie, good to see you. It's a pretty nice night. It's a little windy though. I think I have a microphone in my backpack, so if the wind gets a little bit too crazy, I guess we could try out the microphone. Sally is here, FredX, good to see you. Now, it's interesting because just for the fun of it, I was looking at some real estate today down here. I actually saw 2 apartments. Now, the apartments are nice, but you're still having 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartments go for like $2,300 to $2,400, which is really, really pricey. I guess I should say for Southern Florida, but you know, over the last couple of years, I have been seeing, I would say, very aggressive prices for the sellers and the renters. I should say the landlords. Now, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom for $2,200 to $2,400 is pretty comparable to what you would see in New York City. So I don't know. I mean, I went to one showing just for the fun of it, and there was 3 families waiting to see the apartment still. So the demand seems to be pretty elevated here in Southern Florida, and that's for South Beach. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in my opinion, I think South Beach is beautiful. I think Miami is beautiful, but I don't think I could ever live here. I don't think I could ever live in South Beach. It's kind of too crazy, too much of a party scene for me, but they are still commanding very, very high rents. Hey, Colleen is here. What's up? Good to see you, Colleen. Thank you for joining us. GGNYC, welcome. Ryan Beck says, who is living in South Beach with their family? I know, right? So that's sort of what I was thinking too. Now, we're gonna pass the building that I took a look at just for fun to sort of see how things are. But yeah, there's a lot of young families with kids, at least that we're looking at the 2 apartments that I was looking at. But that's crazy. Austin City Limits is Tom. Is prison working good for you? You know, I haven't tried it. I was gonna try it tonight, but I completely forgot, to tell you the truth. Maybe we'll try it or do a test stream tomorrow. But that's a good point. one of my friends, let's just cross the street here. One of my friends sent me a text saying that Prism is working now, but I think I have to update the application. I don't know. Sunshine After Rain is here. What's up? Good to see you, Sunshine. Welcome. I see Dusty Cole Natalie is here. Now, I was thinking about something today, and New York City, for all of our friends in New York, we still haven't had a real snowfall, right? Now, usually we have at least one major snowstorm by now. And when I mean major, I'm talking, over 8 inches of snow. And for the majority of people who live in upstate New York, or even maybe in the Midwest, you think 8 inches of snow is not really that big of a deal. But in the city it is, like Manhattan, because you have nowhere to put the snow. So it's a big mess. But we haven't really had any snow this year, which is kind of concerning to me, because here's my prediction. I'll give a quick Walks on Wall Street prediction here as we head towards Ocean Drive. I think the winter is going to hit us big time in March. I just have a feeling, and I think it's going to be horrible. Not looking forward to that. I think we had that conversation before, how it seems like the seasons are changing. It seems like the summer is lasting longer into September and November. And it seems as if the winters are lasting longer too into March. So I wouldn't be surprised if we're doing live streams in New York City in March and we see some snow on the ground. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hey, Vinny Castellano is here. Good to see you. Welcome. William Brooklyn says, what's up, Tom? Checking in from New York City. Happy Saturday, everybody. Hope you're having a great night. Thank you so much. Yeah, GGNYC says, may the snow stay away. I'm not a big fan of snow either, but I'd rather get it out of the way in January and February, because I have a feeling we're going to get walloped in March. Ryan Beck says, I was randomly looking at some new apartments built in downtown Austin. They're asking $2,800 for 800 square feet. Wow, 1-in-1s. That's pretty expensive too. Now, I've been to Austin once. I actually had to go to Austin, Texas for a bachelor party, and I don't know. I don't really want to talk bad about a city, but it just really wasn't for me. I mean, it was kind of fun, but I need to be by the ocean. And at night, the city is kind of rough, at least from my experience, anyway. Pretty quiet night. It started to rain a little bit last night after we finished streaming, so hopefully the rain will stay away from us tonight. I see Edward Adams says, hey, Tom, and everybody in the chat. What's up, Edward? Liz says, I think you're right in March. I hope I'm not right, but I think I am going to be right. Because we haven't had one decent snowfall. Now, I think the last time I was in New York, which was about 2 weeks ago, it was like flurrying out, but nothing super, super crazy. Sea Lavender's here, welcome. Sherry Rodrigo. Now let me test something out here. I want to see if I have my microphone, and I'll see if it reduces the wind noise. Give me 1 minute. All right, so this is the microphone. Let me know if you guys could hear any wind noise or if there's any difference. Because we haven't used the microphone in a very, very long time here. So this is the corner of Washington Avenue. Hold on, let me try to clip it on my All right, hopefully that's a little bit better. We'll see. This is the corner of Washington Avenue and 5th Street, and we are going to be continuing all the way down to Ocean Drive. So I think we have maybe 2 blocks to go before we get there. We'll see. Hey, Golden's Dawn is here. Welcome. Wow, Two Wheel Freedom says the audio quality is good. That's surprising because I think I got this microphone off of Amazon. It was like $3. So it's pretty good. Good news that it's good audio quality. I see my friend Austin City Limits. So obviously Austin City Limits is from Austin, Texas. Let me know how you're liking the city. Kevin Buffalo is here. What's up, Kevin? This is a big difference, cuts the traffic noise too. That's good news. I mean, we haven't really been using a microphone, honestly, because I've been lazy. I'll tell you guys, I've been lazy. I mean, we've just been sort of doing the streams. Now, if I could provide a piece of advice to Apple, and I don't want to go into this too much because tomorrow we're going to talk about Apple in depth, because next week, guys, on Wall Street, big week. I'm talking big week. A lot of the major companies that make up the majority of the weighting in the S&P 500 will be reporting earnings, one of which being Apple. So I think in all of the new phones that Apple is manufacturing, if I had a suggestion to Tim Cook, if he's listening, he's probably not, I would suggest that there is a built-in maybe wind mitigator in the microphones of all the new iPhones. Now, I think in some of the Samsung Galaxy devices, they have a wind mitigation sort of setting you can put on. And on the GoPros, they have it as well. So if you guys notice, I've been posting some videos of the Vespa rides around Miami. You don't really notice the wind noise too much, and I don't even have a microphone. It's just the internals of the GoPro is mitigating the wind. So maybe Apple will do that in the future, who knows? But next week is going to be big. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, but if we do a quick refresher in relation to Apple, remember last earnings season about 3 months ago, Apple actually had a blowout quarter. Now here's the thing. Tim Cook comes on the earnings call and he says that the only reason why Apple didn't have a double-digit revenue growth quarter is because of the strength in the US dollar. I think there was about an 800 basis point hit to revenues. So maybe we could have a little bit of a surprise to the upside on Wall Street, because what have we been covering here on Walks from Wall Street? Dollar's coming down, Dixie's coming down. I think the Dixie right now is at 103, maybe 102. Okay, this is the main Collins Avenue here. So if we walk directly up Collins Avenue, I think this will take us to the very famous Espanola Way. Maybe we'll go there a little bit later in the live stream. But for now, we're gonna go up one more block and we will hit into Ocean Drive. Two Wheel Freedom says I'm waiting for the Apple car in 2026. If the Apple car really comes out in 2026, I think that's gonna be pretty decent competition for Tesla. You guys know me. I said I'd never get a car. If I do get a car down the road, I think it's gonna be a Tesla, but you never know if Apple actually follows through on that. I may have to check out the Apple car. I see Patricia is here, says hello, Walks on Wall Street, and everybody in the chat. Good to see you, Patricia. Happy Saturday night to you. We are live here from South Beach. I'm surprised the internet is actually holding up. Now, check out the palm trees here. This is just a little bit of a visual of just how windy it is tonight. And I think the microphone is doing a little bit of a good job cutting down on the wind noise, so that's a plus. UniJ22, what's up? Lena Sandoval, TPAC 5000 says good evening. Jonathan France says, hey, good evening, Tom and company. What's up? Jonathan says, it's good to hear your voice. Thank you so much. I'm feeling much better. I think I'm about 100% today. If you guys notice, we've really only been doing 1 hour live streams to sort of get back into the swing of things. Really quick, these are my favorite palm trees by far. Mainly because the palms spread out so wide These are my absolute favorite palm trees. I think these are native to Africa. I was looking them up one day. These are very, very expensive, and I think these are my favorite palm trees. Just something about looking at palm trees in and of itself. It's, I don't know, it boosts my mood. I don't know if that's just because I'm crazy or maybe it's a real thing, but I love looking at palm trees, man. Yo, FredX says, Tom, you sound 100%. Thank you, FredX. I appreciate that. Now, team, since it is Saturday, I will tell you, here's the one thing I'm looking forward to on the live stream today as we make a left here at Ocean Drive. We haven't done a live stream from South Beach in I think about a year. And I'm excited to look at all of the Art Deco style buildings. Now, whenever we're in Miami, we tend to stream from Brickell as well as downtown Miami, where there are pretty much no Art Deco style buildings. But here you could see them, and the wind must be like 50 miles an hour. The wind is really, really crazy. I think as we get close to the water, it'll pick up. You can see the sign here. It's actually wobbling back and forth. It's so windy. But here is the very famous Ocean Drive. I don't know if you could really compare it to Times Square in New York City, but anytime anybody comes to Miami, Florida, I think this is what the tourists think about is South Beach, Ocean Drive. You have all of the very classic and very famous Art Deco style buildings. Hey, Miss Meow says, hello everybody, greetings from Scotland in the UK. Welcome to all of our Scottish viewers. Golden City says, glad you're back, thank you so much. Gregory, what's up? Harry Connor says the beach is always windy. Now, I'll give you guys a little tip for all of those people that are looking to move to New York, because I get a lot of emails about people saying, hey Tom, I'm looking to move to Miami. Hey, I'm looking to move to New York. Any advice or any tips? I will say this, if you're not a big fan of the wind, and if you're moving to Long Island, New York, I would say Long Beach, Oceanside, and Island Park are some of the most windy places I've ever been to in my life. So if you're not a big fan of wind, I'd stay away from those places, especially in the winter. All right, here we have our first Art Deco style building. Always looks very unique. Seems to be a lot of people dining outside as well. The Bandit is here, says Ocean Drive is chill compared to the zoo that is Times Square. Well, the Bandit, I agree with you, but I also disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Guys, if you come to Southern Florida, specifically South Beach, during spring break, I mean, look, if it's your style, if you like to party and do all that stuff, there's nothing wrong with it, but it's just really not my style. The entire Ocean Drive is packed with people. It's hard to even walk through it. So this would be about, I don't know, mid-March, maybe the end of March, whenever spring break is. But I would say there's almost more people on Ocean Drive during spring break than there is in Times Square. So this is 6th Street headed northbound. Hey, the Mighty Bull says, hey Tom, shout out from Brooklyn, New York. Good to see you, the Mighty Bull. Thank you for joining us. I think the weather wasn't too bad in New York City today. Disney Hatch says, have been to Florida so many times but never visited Miami, and it looks amazing. Disney Hatch, you definitely have to please come to Miami. A lot has changed. Miami has changed even since I first came here in 2015. Especially parts of North Beach, Surfside. A lot of it has changed a lot. So I would definitely recommend you coming and checking it out. Now, if we walk straight ahead, which we won't because it's way too dark out, this is actually the ocean, it's the beach. One of my favorite beaches, a little bit too crowded though. If you're looking for a relaxing beach, not too many tourists, I would recommend going to 72nd Street Beach, which is in the town of North Beach. So for anybody who doesn't know, if you look at a map, if you pull up Google Maps, and you look at Collins Avenue between 72nd Street and 91st Street, that is actually called Little Buenos Aires. So it is a huge, huge Argentine community where you have like all Argentinian bakeries, you have restaurants, bars, really, really cool stuff. That is my personal favorite place in Miami. Hey, Maria's here, says hello Tom from Sao Paulo, Brazil. What's up, Maria? Good to see you. Marilyn is here from Murray Hill, New York. What is up? Good to see all of our New Yorkers. I'm gonna stand back a little bit because this is actually a really, really nice Art Deco style building. It is the Park Central Hotel. Wondering if anybody's ever stayed in this hotel. Mark H says, Tom, first time we were in Miami was in 1991. They were selling one-bedroom condos in old hotels for $39,000. Wow, dude, $39,000 bucks. I can guarantee you that has appreciated probably like 500% in value. You know, I was just telling the group today, right as we started the live stream, you know, oftentimes I'll just go out and look at real estate, even though I'm technically not in the market, but it's always good to keep tabs on the real estate market. So I was looking at 2 apartments here for rent. These were 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartments, and they were all over $2,500 a month. That's crazy for Southern Florida. That's like New York City prices. And when I was at, I guess you could call it the open house, there was the realtor, and then there was maybe about 2 or 3 families in each apartment. It's pretty high demand, especially, well, I should say, ironically, since that interest rates are going up, it's supposed to be killing demand, but you know, a lot of people were there asking questions about the property, asking questions about the building. So it seems as if there's still a lot of demand for rental units here, especially in South Beach. Now, we did briefly speak about, I don't think I would ever want to live here. It's a great place to visit, but I'm more of a kind of laid back type of guy. So my preferred neighborhoods to live would be like Surfside, North Miami Beach, or North Miami in general, and maybe even Kendall, Florida, for those of you who are familiar with that. But let's continue to walk northbound on Ocean Drive. And I think once we get to the very end of Ocean Drive, we're gonna make a left, and I wanna show you guys Espanola Way, which is a very, very fun place, especially for the nightlife. Hey, Paulos Adventures says, wow, very expensive, extremely expensive. It's crazy to look at all the price adjustments since 2015 to 2023 in Miami. Some rents have gone up 300%, quite literally. It is really wild. Barry Bell says, Tom, I like the Gulf Coast much better. So which towns or which cities near the Gulf do you like best? You talking about like Tampa, Florida? I know we have a lot of viewers from Tampa too. I've actually never been. I don't know if you guys knew that, but I've never been to Tampa. Would love to visit Tampa, Florida. Western Mass Dave, what's up, dude? Says hello, Tom and chat. Loving the Art Deco buildings. Yeah, Dave, I am too, man. Very, very seldom do we come to South Beach. Now, do you guys know the real reason why we haven't been streaming live from South Beach? I'll tell you guys, and I think this will tie perfectly into the live stream because a lot of people have been sending me emails with recommendations saying, hey, I'm looking to move to Miami. Do you have any tips? Well, I'll give you a tip. Here's a tip. If you do not have your own car or a Vespa, like I bought, or a scooter, it's very difficult to get to South Beach. Very difficult. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I'll say it takes a very, very long time to get to South Beach from places like North Miami Beach, because the buses that come on the East Coast, right, or the east side of the Intercoastal, they run very sparingly. However, if you live on the left side of the Intercoastal, you should be more than fine. You could take the 3 bus, it runs 24/7. But after 10 p.m., it's going to take you 2 hours to get home if you live in Sunny Isles Beach or if you live in North Miami Beach or Aventura. So the reason why we haven't been streaming South Beach is because the bus schedule was just horrible. But since I have the scooter, I mean, I'm home in 30 minutes, so it's pretty convenient. So just keep that in mind. If you're looking to move to Miami and you have to get from Aventura, maybe you have to get from Hollywood to South Beach in downtown Miami, and you're solely relying on public transportation, it's a little difficult. So just a little bit of forewarning there. Hey, Little Larry Sellers, what's up, man? Good to see you. Evan Weeks, welcome to South Beach, my friend. Hopefully you're having a good start to the weekend so far. Kel is here, what's up? Pineapple Water says, I could never imagine living in Florida without a car. It's very doable if you live in Miami. I would say just buy a little bit of buy a scooter or something like that. Okay, guys, this reminds me of Cuba. Does it not? Now, I've never been to Cuba. One of my best friends went to Cuba, and even though the country, is going through a lot of hard times with communism and all that, it's literally like frozen in time. You see all of these beautiful cars from the 1950s. It is a beautiful, beautiful country. So these type of vehicles right here sort of reminds me of Cuba. It gives off a very, very Cuban vibe. Sunshine after rain, what's up? This is the Beacon Hotel, which is another very famous Art Deco style building. Brick Stonewall, what's up? John says it's a 56 to a 57 Chevy. Maybe we'll cross the street and take a look at it. Let's do that. Let me see. Usually the street is actually closed off here. But first I'll give you all a shot of the Beacon Hotel. Hey Stephanie, what's up? Stephanie's joining us from New York City, welcome. All right, let's cross the street. We're crossing right in front of the Beacon Hotel. We're gonna make a left and check out the car. Hey, Matthew Gibson, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Oh, I think this is a Cuban restaurant, is it not? I think this is a Cuban restaurant. It smells amazing. I wish we had smell-o-vision here on Walks on Wall Street, but it smells amazing here. Hey, Shop by Scott, what's up, dude? Good to see you. Oh, I think they advertised the restaurant. I'll show you guys. Maybe you could scan the QR code and you guys could check out the menu here. Wow, that's so cool. That's awesome.
Just right here,
Now this may be a hot take, but doesn't the old style cars have a lot more character than the new vehicles like this one? I'm not hating on the new vehicles, but it seems like everything looks the same now. Like a Toyota looks the same as a Hyundai, a Ford looks the same. It seemed like the old vehicles, now I know it's probably a lot more expensive to build these because they're solid metal, but it just seems like the craftsmanship was much better back in the day. I don't know, I'm not a car guy, I have no idea, but that's just my opinion from looking at it. All right, I'll give you guys one sweeping view of the outdoor dining situation here. Hey, Tucson's is a 56 old 88 convertible. Very interesting, I didn't know that's what it was called. Twitch ASMR says older cars had actual designers back then. Well, isn't the history about that is obviously with Henry Ford. Oh, here's a Tesla. I think everything's just mass produced, right? When you have mass production, you can drastically drive down the prices. Hey, Donald is here, says evening Tom, old cars are better for sure. Yo, Bourbon Buddy, what's up? My Twitter friend, man. What about that face ripping rally with ARC, man? Kathy Woods making a comeback. There we go. Now, I appreciate Bourbon Buddy a lot because, like myself, he tends to be a screaming optimist all the time. And I'll tell you guys a lesson that I learned, okay? This is a very important lesson as it relates to the financial markets. It's okay to be bearish and it's okay to be bullish, but if you think about all the great investors like Stanley Druckenmiller, Paul Tudor Jones, these guys are always open to changing their opinion. And one of the biggest mistakes that I've seen throughout my entire life, and I always tell the story about my old coworker, you know, some bears like refuse to change their narrative. Like you could be in a rip-roaring bull market and they're always pessimistic, they'll never buy, they're always sitting in cash. So you got to be objective here. You got to remove your emotions, and when the market changes, you got to trade with the trend. You know, think about some of the greatest trend traders of all time, like George Soros when he was working with Stanley Druckenmiller when they had that all-time famous trade, right? So for all of the bears out there, I could be very bearish myself, but always be open to changing and trading with the trend. Don't be a perma bear, because sometimes, at least from the people that I've worked with in the past, these people are so negative that they'll never buy. You know, in 2014 they were in cash. In 2019 they were in cash. During the COVID pandemic, they were in cash, and then they say, oh, I told you so, I told you should have never bought stocks. But these people never buy, so just keep that in mind. Some bears never buy. Okay, so this is southbound here. Hey, Ed Dunkel, what's up? This is Every Disaster Presents Opportunities. Good to see you, Ed. Welcome. Twitch ASMR says, Tom, you sound a bit different. Well, we have a microphone in tonight. So tonight we have a mic in to cut down on some of the wind noise, but so the microphone has this audio setting where it tries to negate a lot of the background noise. Now I think we're coming up on the building where what was the famous movie that was shot there? Was it Scarface, I think? I'm not a big movie guy, but I think it's one of these buildings where one of those famous those mobster movies was filmed way back in the day. Yeah, speaking of TikTok, like I said, TikTok. Speaking of TikTok, I think there's a bill, well, at least maybe they'll vote on it, to potentially ban TikTok. Now, I don't even think it'll ever go to a vote. But I think you guys know my opinion on TikTok in general. Not a big fan. I don't use the platform. I think it's I think it's a security threat. I think it's a security threat. That's what I would say. All right, one more panoramic view of some of the Art Deco buildings here in South Beach. Hey, Jonathan Clark, what's up? Good to see you. Says Miami looks nice. I need to get there. Yeah, come down, man. Take a trip. Now, speaking of Canada, I'm seeing a lot of Canadian friends in the chat. I was riding around downtown Miami as well as Sunny Isles Beach, and I couldn't tell you how many Quebec license plates that I saw. Tons of Canadians are down here. I never knew that. It's a pretty, I guess, popular snowbird spot even for our Canadian friends too. Tons of Canadian license plates down here. Ed T says, Tommy, you still bullish on cybersecurity? Palo Alto Networks is recovering nicely. I am extremely, extremely bullish on cybersecurity. Not only from an investment standpoint, but from a career standpoint too. You know, a lot of times we have people in the chat, you know, that are either just graduating college, or maybe you're looking to make a career change. Cybersecurity, I think, is going to transform into one of those industries where it is mandated, right? I think some small businesses and some medium to large enterprises, I think the government down the line will actually mandate these companies have a cybersecurity plan in place. And the reason why I say that, and I'm talking from my experience selling this type of software. You know, I've sold Zscaler products in the past. I've sold Fortinet products as it relates to SD-WAN and things like that. And especially in the healthcare sector, these particular sectors of the economy are very, very prone to cybersecurity threats and attacks. And if any of that proprietary patient information is compromised, these healthcare providers could be facing significant fines. So I think down the line, there's going to be even industries created for cybersecurity insurance. So let's say if your business gets hit with a ransomware attack, I think you're going to have insurance companies that are going to step in here and negotiate with these cyber criminals. So long term, if you believe in innovation, if you believe in the expansion of the internet, naturally speaking, that means cybersecurity will become an increasingly growing sector. Now, it's a good topic to talk about additionally, because if you think about sort of what we're going through now, I think everybody knows, you know, if you've been reading the Wall Street Journal, if you've been turning on CNN or Fox News or whatever publications you've been looking at, we are going through a period of a lot of layoffs, not only in the tech sector, but through broad swaths of the economy. And if you're a C-level executive, if you're a CEO or a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, during times like this, not only are you downsizing your workforce, which is natural, but you are also looking for different SaaS products or software as a service products that maybe you once paid for when times were good, and now that it's really not a necessity, you're cutting those costs, right? So I think cybersecurity, especially if you're buying packaged SaaS cybersecurity software, you can't afford to cancel your cybersecurity services, right? But maybe you can afford to cancel some Salesforce licenses or some Microsoft Teams licenses. But cybersecurity, it's almost a necessity. It's a requirement to run a business. So if you're looking for pockets of the economy that may technically be recession-proof, I don't know, in my opinion, and my opinion may not mean much, I think cybersecurity is almost a recession-proof business. But I don't know, any thoughts on that? Hey, Keith is here, says UE is considering a law requiring all free open source software providers liable for security of their products. See, that's, it's going to get interesting. It's going to get interesting, for sure. Now, I think the Suffolk County and Nassau County were just victim to a cybersecurity attack. I think the Los Angeles Public School District was victim to cybersecurity attack last year. So it's definitely a very big problem. Dan Zhang says, Tom, I also think sales is a recession-proof career. I think so too. I mean, you need good salespeople for sure. Ed Dunkel says, I don't use email for important stuff anymore. Wow. Well, speaking of email, and Ed, maybe you guys are experiencing this too. Have you guys noticed a ridiculous uptick in Emotet emails? Now, for those of you who don't know what Emotet is, they're phishing emails. So if you see, I'll give you an example of what I get. So I bank with JP Morgan Chase, but I get these emails that look like they're from my bank, but they're not. And they say, hey, check your balance and click here. But instead of at jpmorganchase.com, it'll be like at jpchase, and they forget the e.com. Does that make sense? So for somebody who isn't aware of these Emotet threats, they may just click the link, and then once you click that link, it automatically downloads malware onto your device and you're completely compromised. So I've been getting not only an uptick in Emotet emails, but non-stop relentless spam phone calls. It's almost been relentless, like I can't even use my phone anymore. It's crazy. Little Larry Sellers says, I got one from a fraud American Express yesterday. Interesting. Hey, Be Blessed is here. Good to see you, Be Blessed. Troy Atman says, Tom, I Googled it. The Scarface was filmed at the CVS. So I think the CVS is 2 more blocks down. Maybe we'll check that out tonight. This is another very famous Art Deco style building here in South Beach. Oh, Shot by Scott, nice, man. So are you gonna be at the marathon tomorrow? That's right. So tomorrow is the Miami Marathon. So I think the entire city is gonna be closed down for the majority of the day. Meld says, I get texts like that from fake Wells Fargo and fake Amazon. It's gotten to the point where it's crazy, where I think that the major cellular carriers like Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile are gonna need to step in and do something about it, because I get hammered relentlessly with these spam phone calls. Definitely a lot of people out tonight. Ah, William. Bree Grams, what's up? All right, let's continue to walk northbound. And then we still have to make a left and go to Espanola Way. I think this is a famous hotel too, the Edison. continue to head up. I think we got 2 more blocks. Yeah, this is 10th Street, so we got to go to 12th. And I think the CVS is on the corner of 12th Street and Ocean Avenue. Hey, Christopher's here, what's up? Oh, what is this? Football headquarters. Edson is here, says, hey Tom, what's up my guy? What's up, Edson? Thank you for joining us here at South Beach. Cody is here, says, hey Tom, what's up Cody? Prince Ice, welcome. All right, let's cross the street because I think there's going to be some pretty cool Art Deco buildings. You guys can see it better from afar. So we'll cross here. Derek Hammond, what's up? Oh, 2012, says Tom, the CVS is between 7th and 8th Street. I thought it was further up for some reason. Maybe we'll have to go back on our way to Espanola Way. I think there's some live performance going on here. So definitely would stay away from all of those meme stocks. I think you guys sort of know my opinion on all that. Hey, Mel says, yikes, maybe South Beach strip has been extended. I remember it being shorter. I don't know. I'm not really too familiar with South Beach, to be honest. I think it's the same as it was before. I think it goes up to 14th Street. Ocean Drive does, I think. A lot of nice cars here too. David Randall says, you saw the Bed Bath & Beyond story? Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of people that I think are still holding that stock. Trying to debate if I should take you guys to the beach. I think it's going to be too dark. I don't think you'll be able to see the ocean. But I kind of want to check out the water. Hey, sunshine after rain, what's up? Welcome to South Beach. Chris Beeman from Arizona, what's up, Chris? Chris, I was going to ask you, are you seeing any of the rents come down in your neck of the woods there in Arizona? At the beginning of the stream, we were talking about I checked out 2 apartments today, just for the fun of it. And 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom here in South Beach. All of them over $2,500. Now, I think the state of Arizona generally was one of those major COVID states where everybody from the Northeast and even from California were fleeing to. So usually, I mean, if you just take a look at the trajectory from 2006 to 2008, the markets that were super overheated tended to correct the most. So I was wondering if there's hopefully some relief there in Arizona. Maybe not, maybe. I love how they put the lights on the palm trees here. Christopher says Vegas is still high, really? Now, I used to go to Vegas a lot for work, but I think it's a place to visit. It's not a place to live, in my view. But then again, that's because I love the ocean. I can't be in the desert. Michael Joseph says, Tom, I saw your scooter vids. Did you decide on electric or gasoline? So I got a gasoline engine. Speaking of that, I actually just got an oil change today. So when you first buy it, if you're going to buy a new one, the first 300 miles you got to get an oil change, and then it's every 1,500 miles thereafter. But I get about 125 miles to the gallon. It's not bad. And the gas tank is about 1 gallon. So, not bad at all. I'm not sure what their plans are for this, but I could imagine this can't stay vacant for long. It looks totally abandoned here. Oh! Man, that guy wiped out so bad. I'm glad we didn't get that on camera. Thanks. Man, I hope he's all right. He felt bad, dude. Hey, Vonda Howard, what's up? Good to see you. Cool Weather Farmer. Okay, so Chris Beeman says rents are still high, but some places are offering different concessions. So I started to see that in New York. I started to see like 1 month free in select apartments in New York City. I can't say I'm seeing the same thing down here though. All right, let's head into the city now. Hey, Sister Surround, thank you so much for the $5 donation. Says, I hope this helps a little bit with the driveway. Thank you so much. Yeah, so we were talking about that a little bit yesterday. So I got the contractors coming in on Monday. It's gonna be a big job, but it should only take about 4 days. I mean, that's what they said, but they gotta rip out the entire driveway, put in a new one, but it's gotta be done because it's not looking good. I mean, none of the tenants are complaining, but I think it needs to be done. So I'm gonna rip out the driveway, put in a new one, and I think I'm gonna get dollar for dollar return on my investment. Now, there's a lot of, and I think Ed Dunkel may have tweeted at me on Twitter, and Ed is exactly right. I think it was Ed. I'm almost 100% it was Ed. But Ed said the vast majority of home improvements, you very rarely get dollar for dollar return on your investment. I think a driveway you do, if your driveway is really horrendous and egregious like mine is. Now you guys know I used the horrible driveway as a negotiating tactic to get the price down on the property. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna send you some before and after photos of it. I'll let you guys know. It should be done on Wednesday, so I mean, please God, hopefully all goes well. The weather is supposed to be nice too. All right, we'll walk up 2 more and then we'll make a left. But thank you so much for the donation. AUS Fly Girl says, Tom, is this your home in Florida? Yeah. Now there was 2 issues with it. I wouldn't say major issues with it when I bought it. Number 1, the septic tank. I told you guys the story about that. But number 2, just the overall, I mean, the curb appeal isn't horrible, but just the driveway has never been replaced. It may have been resurfaced once, but it's the original driveway from 1955. So it's really not a driveway. It has literal potholes in it. It looks like it's been shelled with freaking howitzer or mortar shells. But at least it's going to be better in a couple days. Now usually the price per square foot for a driveway, you should really only be paying on the high end about $15 a square foot. That's on the really, really high end. The low end, if you don't do any type of design, you could probably just get a regular asphalt driveway for $5 a square foot. You should be able to. But now with all the labor inflation and everything crazy, you know, if you can get, you know, $10 a square foot on a driveway, I think you probably got a pretty good deal. Now, if you're gonna get a concrete driveway, it definitely depends on the PSI they're using. So depending on if you're gonna have like big trucks or big SUVs in the driveway, you probably have to go with a higher PSI concrete. But if it's only going to be used for, you know, guests with regular sedans, I think you'll be fine. Hey, Gary Carpenter, what's up? Good to see you, Gary. We made it to 14th Street. This is one of the only public restrooms here in South Beach. This is a really nice Art Deco building as well. Meld says, I've never stayed in an Airbnb, but I think I'd like to stay and walk some Whole Street House one day. Definitely more than welcome, for sure. Ooh, Mark H says, what do you think about a pool dollar for dollar in Florida? So, and I have a very controversial opinion about pools. If you're using the property as an investment property, as a rental, in my opinion, pools are a big no. It's a lot of money, and it's a lot of maintenance. And especially if you're doing short-term rental, it's also could potentially be a lot of liability too. So for me, I don't think I would ever buy a house with a pool here unless it's only for me. But that's just my opinion. Does anybody here in the chat maybe have a different perspective on that? Maybe you're from Southern Florida, or maybe you have a rental property with the pool. Have you run into any issues? The thing for me is I want a rental property where the property is going to look fantastic. The tenants are really going to enjoy it. I'm not going to run it like a slumlord, and it's going to be very easy for the tenants to maintain the property, right? They don't have to cut the grass, they don't have to do any maintenance. That's why I want to get the concrete driveway with the artificial grass. You never have to do any maintenance or very low maintenance, and the tenants are going to be happy. FredEx's rental pool sounds very problematic. Sister Surround says, Tom, it's a liability for sure, especially if you're renting it out. Austin City Limits is a lot of maintenance and dangers for liability protection. Hey, Dan Zhang, what's up, dude? He says, I once rented a house in Southampton. Love Southampton, dude. The owner was telling me that one of the biggest expense besides property tax is the cleaning fee for the pool during the summer. Well, there you go. Now, do you think that it would be more expensive to clean the pool and maintenance the pool in a place like New York or Florida? I actually think it may be more expensive in New York because you have to winterize the pool, right? Isn't that a thing? I think you have to winterize the pool. You know, back when I first got into tech sales, one of my first customers, not my first customer, but one of my first customers was one of the largest pool contractors on Long Island. And some of the jobs they did were incredible out east on Long Island. AUS Fly Girl says, Tom, I lived in Florida for 15 years. We had a pool. Most people did, but very expensive maintenance and liability. We had a garden instead. People go to the beach besides the pools. Very good point. So my house, not to give too much away, I'm about 2.5 miles. Oh, hey, thanks, man.
Yeah, I live here, so I saw you nearby.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Nice to meet you. Good to meet you, man. Enjoy your Saturday night. Take care. Wow, Callie says it's $12,000 a year to maintain. I don't know about that. 12 grand a year to maintain, or $12,000 to put in the pool. So this is the Marriott Vacation Club. Now, if you tuned in to Walks on Wall Street yesterday, we were talking about a lot of the leading stocks in the market are ironically in the hospitality section. Take a look at Hyatt, ticker symbol H. I think we hit a new all-time record high in Hyatt Hotel over the last trading week, as well as Marriott, ticker symbol MAR. Speaking of Marriott right here, I think Marriott hit a 52-week high as well. Oh, Will M's is not to mention the heating the pool up north. Yeah, and look, I'm not an experienced real estate investor, right? So for my first deal, I wanted to mitigate my risk as much as possible, because when you're first starting out at something, naturally, I don't know, I only have, this word is in my head, oblivious maybe. I wouldn't say I'm oblivious, but I just am blanking on a descriptive word to use. But you never know, right? I mean, what if the tenants are a pain? What if, something goes wrong in the house? I want to mitigate my risk as much as possible, and then as I gain experience doing it, well, then maybe I'll branch out to other things. But I don't think I could handle or afford a pool right now. Somebody says rental cost apartment in Poland is very high. Wow. Welcome to all of our Polish viewers. I didn't know we had Polish viewers. Thank you so much for joining. Andy is here. What's up? Good to see you, Andy. Now, I think the last 3 buildings here are probably the most iconic Art Deco style buildings here in South Beach. If you just go to any Google Images photo of South Beach, you'll see these main 3 buildings right here. I think these are the most photographed Art Deco buildings in South Beach. Yeah, Ryan Beck sounds like an unnecessary headache. Now, you guys know I spend a lot of time on Twitter, right? Especially FinTwit. And I think it's about 50-50 as it relates to Airbnb. There's a lot of posts saying that Airbnb is going to become pretty much extinct because the hosts charge egregious fees, cleaning fees and the like. That hasn't been my experience. Now, I'm not negating anybody else's experience. I'm not saying that they're liars. But as an Airbnb host, I don't bang people over the head for a cleaning fee, right? Now, I stopped doing less than 20-day rentals. And I charge a flat cleaning fee now of $100 for the month. So I used to charge $50, now I just do a flat $100 charge. And that's it. There's no other fees, there's no other surprises, and the tenant knows that before they book. I think that's pretty fair, but on Twitter, there's these horror stories about how people somehow book their trips, and at the conclusion of the trip, they have over $1,000 in added fees. I don't even know how they manage. I don't even know how that's legal on Airbnb, because as a host myself, I could tell you, I can't add anything after the customer is paid. Does that make sense? Unless I lie and tell Airbnb that the guest ruined property or something, and I'm adding an extra charge. But I don't know. What has anybody else's experience been with Airbnb? I'm rather curious. I think it just depends on the host, but I haven't had an issue. And usually when I travel, before I bought this place, whenever I would travel to Miami, I would stay in Airbnbs and I never had an issue. Everybody, all the hosts were really nice. I never had to pay crazy fees. Anybody have any perspective on that? Mark H says, and they want you to wash the sheets before you leave and leave them in the dryer. See, I never ask anybody for that. I think that would be too crazy. Christopher says, how can they add fees? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. I have no idea. Points Traveler says, Tom, are you giving your subscribers a discount on your Airbnb? We're for sure. We'll give you a Walks on Wall Street discount, 100%. Now, here's what I'll say, not to, harp on the Airbnb topic too much, but Airbnb, the stock, ticker symbol ABNB, is actually recovering quite nicely. I wouldn't do Airbnb for less than a month stay. Now, depending on where you live. If you live in a major city that is very, very well traveled, like Miami and New York, if you put your listing for only month-long rentals, you are going to get a lot of very high quality tenants. For example, I think the Orb is here, right? The Betsy Ross Orb. I think it's here, right? Let me see. You're going to get a lot of high quality tenants like visiting or traveling nurses. And traveling nurses are a pretty good niche to target because from what I understand, they technically can set their own schedules. So they could take like 3 months off at a time, but then they could be on a job site for 2 months and pretty much work wherever they want. So they could work 3 months from Los Angeles, California, work 3 months from New York City, and then work 3 months from Miami and pretty much do whatever they want. And these folks have very good incomes, and they, generally speaking, tend to be very, very responsible with the property. This is the Betsy Orb. Now, I think you could walk through this, can you not? If you're inside the building, I think you could walk through this. I think. Yeah, Ryan Bell says the egg. Egg or orb. Kind of does look like an egg, doesn't it? Okay, so you can walk through it. It's presented as a work of public art installed to connect to architecturally significant buildings. Has anybody ever walked through this? I've never been in these buildings, so you could probably consider me a tourist. I never really go to South Beach, but kind of looks cool. Hey, Palmettis, what's up? Diane. Good to see you, Diane. Thank you for joining. Oh, team, we've been streaming for over an hour. I got to take you guys past Espanola Way, which isn't too far away from here. I think it's about 2 or 3 blocks away. But if you guys have been enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to click the like button and hit the subscribe button if you're new. We do these live streams about 5 days a week between New York and Miami. Now, Monday through Friday, we do a dedicated stream covering the financial markets. Saturdays, we just walk around, have a good time, hang out like we've been doing today. And Sundays is our Markets a Look Ahead live stream where we cover all of the major events that are happening for the week ahead on Wall Street. And next week is going to be an extremely busy week on Wall Street because we are hearing from Apple as they report their quarterly earnings report. We are going to hear from Caterpillar, Lincoln Electric, and we are also going to hear from our pals at the Federal Reserve. Yes, next week we are going to hear from Fed Chair Jerome Powell as they make their interest rate decision. As they make their decision to raise interest rates. Now, if you look at the futures market right now, it's looking like a 70% probability that we're going to get a 25 basis point rate hike, but we'll see. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Ryan Beck says, ironically, the longer they are around, the more the disruptors turn into what they were created to change. That's kind of funny. So here's what I'll say. I think that's a good point, but here's what I'll say. I think if you have a family with kids, maybe it's a little bit more beneficial to stay at an Airbnb and rent out an entire house as opposed to renting one hotel room and slamming your entire family in a hotel room. Now, what is the other one that's not Airbnb? I think it's VRBO, right? Vrbo. Now with that, I think it's only full entire unit rentals on VRBO. Is that correct? That's the difference between Airbnb and Vrbo. Is Airbnb, you could rent out individual rooms, but on VRBO, is it VRBO or Vrbo? I don't even know what you call it. But you can only rent out your entire house, I think. Hey, PR says, do you discuss crypto? Please don't laugh at me. Yeah, we discuss crypto a lot. Now, I made a tweet today. If you want to follow me on Twitter, it's @WalksWallStreet. And one of the things that we were talking about is usually when you reach a major market bottom, you have these massive capitulation events. And I think we had that in the cryptocurrency market. So for example, we had the major FTX fraud, that's number one. Number two, we had the Three Arrows Capital, massive blow up, that huge hedge fund that went under. And then number three, we had the other fraud, which was the Terra Luna fraud. This is Espanola Way, by the way. This is actually where we're going to be walking to. So, where I sort of find an interesting dichotomy going on in the market is that I think we put in a bottom for Bitcoin. Now, that doesn't mean it can't revisit the bottom, but I think that the final low is in. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe we retest that low, but I do not think we're going to break that low, in my view, because I think we have had the major blow-ups, the major capitulation events in the cryptocurrency markets, but I do not think we had that yet in the equity market. So as it relates to the US equity markets and other emerging markets. Now think about back to previous bear markets in equities. Usually you have some sort of major systemic meltdown, like the long-term capital management meltdown, the 2008 financial crisis, or something that will prompt the Federal Reserve to pump more liquidity into the marketplace. I just don't think we've had that yet, but I guess the good news is the market, all of the major equity indices are trading back above the 50-day and the 200-day moving average. So I don't think we can ignore that. That is actually a very, very good sign. All right, so this is Washington Avenue. This is the very famous Espanola Way. This is where they have, I guess you can pretty much compare it to like the Restaurant Row in Manhattan. Ryan Beck's is, interestingly, you don't see much marketing for VRBO. You see some commercials here and there, but definitely not as much as Airbnb. I did notice that as well. Billy says, do you speak Spanish? I don't. But I think I'm getting a little bit better at Spanish. JM2 says Goldman Sachs is predicting rate cuts by Q2 of 2024. Kevin Moore says the current inversion of the bond market is bad news for the stock market. Many are expecting a crash worse than 1929 very soon. Yeah, well, I mean, I think we'll talk more about that tomorrow, but we've done in-depth live streams as it relates to how to interpret a yield curve, right? And I want to share with you guys an Excel model that I made that I think will help you understand how to interpret a yield curve the appropriate way. But we'll talk about that tomorrow because it's too loud here. Nina is here, welcome, good to see you. I think it's someone's birthday there. Wow, there's a lot of people out tonight. Yeah, Jenny Trickett says the Dixie drops, stocks go up. Yeah, the Dixie has been in free fall. The dollar weakness has also been driving emerging markets too. Now, I think the main emerging market that I'm watching is actually Mexico, surprisingly. Hey, Kim is here, this is beautiful. What's up, Kim? Good to see you. Type Nature TV says, are they tourists? I think many of them may be tourists. Now, Espanola Way is a very, very famous place to come visit if you're a tourist. So I've actually eaten at this restaurant. It's very, very good, but it's also very, very expensive too. A lot of people out though. It's encouraging to see. Now, here's some anecdotal data for everybody, and we were talking about this on last night's live stream when we were talking about LVMH. So LVMH Moët Hennessy is one of the top luxury brands in the entire world, and they reported absolutely thunderous blowout earnings. And there's so much talk of a recession, there's so much gloom, so much doom, so much fear, that if you think about it, look at all of these people that are outside on a Saturday night spending money, hanging out in Miami. This really doesn't look like a recession, does it? Now, again, I said anecdotal data, but if things are really as bad as they seem and people are getting laid off, and I don't know, would you say that this looks like a recession here in Miami, Florida? Or do you think that's maybe too anecdotal? Yeah, Christopher says no, it doesn't. I guess it's what you call Peter Lynch theory, if anybody is familiar with Peter Lynch. the former mutual fund manager for the Fidelity Magellan Fund. Wow, it is so packed here. I was not expecting that. Kevin says, do you have any interest in currency speculation? I usually don't trade any currencies, but generally speaking, a weaker US dollar is positive for US equities. It's also positive for emerging markets as well. And I think as we roll through earnings season, because we are now in the thick of earnings season here, notice a lot of the verbiage and the discussion around currencies. And I'll tell you, I'll sort of explain what I mean by that. Look at how gorgeous these balconies are here. Now next week, and we're going to talk more about this tomorrow as well, but next week we are going to hear from Apple, so Tim Cook. And last earnings season, there was about an 800 basis point hit to revenues due to a strong US dollar. Now, does anybody remember that conference call? I remember it. I was on the conference call. And Apple would have had a double-digit revenue growth quarter if it wasn't for the very strong US dollar. Now, that was 3 months ago, okay? Fast forward 3 months, the Dixie is well off of its highs, trading well below its 250-day moving average. I think the Dixie's at 102, am I right? Could we get a quick fact check on that? I think the Dixie is back down to 102, I think. Maybe Dan Zhang or FredX could quickly Google where the Dixie is. But anyway, it's well off the highs from I think 115 where it was before. So I think that's actually going to provide a pretty nice surprise this earnings season. We'll see. I mean, we'll find out sooner rather than later. I think Apple reports on Thursday. Hey, Teresa Diaz is here. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Espanola Way. These are my favorite palms by far. Yeah, Joe Driver is right. It says, Tom, truly there is so much money out there in the general economy, and people will go out no matter what the economy or economic conditions are. Michael Joseph says the Dixie is at 101 now. So lower than I expected. Richard Vogel is like, Tom, where did you leave the Vespa? It is at the office. So it is back at the WeWork office. We have a little parking space, parking garage. Okay, let's walk back through the street here. I think this is where the valet parking is. Perry Wilk, good to see you. Ryan Beck says, Tom, when are you headed back to the city? Well, I actually have a crazy, well, I'll save it for tomorrow, but I'm going to be back in New York for a very brief amount of time because I'm going to be doing something really, really cool, and I'm very appreciative to be able to have the opportunity to do this, but I'll let you guys know what I'm doing very soon. So Monday, I got to get the driveway done, but then I got to do a crazy, well, I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling next week. I'll say that, but I'm going to be back in Miami again for 2 to 3 weeks. Kaylee is here, good to see you, welcome. We're gonna make a right here and then head back to the office. This looks like a sneaker shop here. Oh, look at the design on the side of the building here. I did hear about that. So they're testing the central bank digital currency, are they not? Man, this place is so cool. I could almost stand here and just hang out all night. I don't know how to explain it, but this is a really nice vibe here. Everybody's having a good time. It's very nice out. It's awesome here. I may have to actually come back and spend more time here. Hey, Robert Hickman, what's up? Good to see you, Robert. D, welcome. Thank you for joining. I think this is a gelato place. Now, I could see why the apartment that I looked at today, the 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, was going for over $2,500. Now, a lot of the $1,000 a month. I think we need to get out of here though, because it's going to be buffering a little bit. Susanna Q4, welcome. I think this is a cigar place. Look at that. There's a guy on the balcony hanging out with a cigar. That's really nice. Now, there used to be a very famous cigar place in New York City. I think it was called Nat Sherman's, and it was actually near Grand Central Station. But it unfortunately closed down due to the pandemic. Derek Hammond says if I lived in Miami, I'd go there every day. Nina says balcony gentleman smoking in classic Spain. So that's something you would see in Spain? I'll have to check it out if I ever go visit. We got to make a right here. Actually, maybe we'll make a left. I think they're testing. Yeah, so Kevin, you're talking about the... Yeah, maybe we'll touch on that tomorrow. I do know what you're talking about, though. The central bank digital currencies. I'm actually not opposed to any of the digital currencies, to be honest. It's just my opinion. If you think about it, the vast majority of money is already digital anyway. Wow, are they really? Madison Square Garden is going to a no alcohol policy? I don't know how that's going to go over with the Rangers fans. All right, I'll give you guys one more shot, and then we will head back to the office. Saul says New York City or Miami to live. I would rather live in New York City during the summer and Miami during the winter. So I think you could say both. If you can, I would split my time 50-50 between the two locations. Mel says, Tom, are you taking the Amtrak somewhere? This is my first official guess. I am not. So next week is going to be very busy for me, but I'm extremely excited for next week. Look at this place. This place has a really nice vibe to it too. I think it's a pizzeria. All right, we're gonna make a right on Collins Avenue and then we will go back to the office. Austin City Limits says, Tom, are we gonna be streaming next week? Yes, we'll probably be streaming every day next week, but we will be doing a lot of traveling next week, a lot. Hey, Darren says, Tom, good evening from beautiful Beverly Hills, California. Wow. Good to see all of our viewers from Beverly Hills. Good to see you. Darren, thank you for joining. Ah, this is the Royal Palm. Steph UH, welcome. So I thought I saw somebody that I knew just now, but it was a doppelganger. I'm not sure if anybody knows Tone Vase. Anybody's ever heard of that guy? I thought I just saw him, but it was just a doppelganger. And Nina says next week sounds exciting already. It's going to be awesome, man. Yeah. Let's just say I think you guys will be able to find out what I'm going to be doing. But I'm very appreciative, extremely grateful. That's the only thing I'll say, is just extremely, unbelievably grateful. All right, we'll pass the Orb and then we got to go back to the WeWork office. Then I got to drive home. Hopefully it doesn't rain. It's starting to get a little humid. Hey Jim, what's up? Says good evening from Vegas, new subscriber. Tom, are you a hedge fund manager? Just wondering. I am not. I am not a hedge fund manager. The majority of my career I've been in tech sales. So selling software and hardware to Fortune 500 and Fortune 50 companies. But I I've recently just actually made a pretty big career change all of 2 weeks ago, so life has been kind of wild, but I'm excited for whatever's next. You guys will find out in due time. I just have to figure some stuff out. But yeah, I mean, going into tech sales, I think you guys know how I sort of got involved in it. It was really by chance. Man, it's so windy here. Now we are by the Ocean Drive, but it's been a very, very lucrative and amazing opportunity and career. I learned a lot. I built a huge network, but I think I'm going to take a risk and go into something else. Troy Hatton says, did you get a job with Ken Griffin? I did not. You know, speaking of Ken Griffin, I think Citadel, their flagship hedge fund, or their flagship fund, reported record performance in the year 2022. And there were even some articles out there that were quite skeptical of those returns. Now, I think Citadel, and I have the utmost respect for Citadel, Ken Griffin, and everybody over there at Citadel Securities and Citadel. So I don't think there's anything nefarious there. I just think that whenever you're running any sort of quantitative strategy, and also you're a market maker as well, you can produce extremely good returns. Now, whenever I think about a quantitative or a quant strategy, I immediately think of Renaissance Technologies. That, funny enough, it was actually started out of a strip mall on Long Island. Jim Simons, he was a math teacher, and then I think at the age of 35 or 40, I forget, he started a hedge fund out of a strip mall on Long Island, and that hedge fund went on to become one of the most profitable hedge funds in the entire world, Renaissance Technologies. Hey, Jim Swope, what's up? Jafet says Bernie Madoff. Yeah, a lot of people, you know, were posting that online. There's some articles that says Citadel's returns are so good that they're questionable. They're questioning all those returns. Now, I don't know. I wouldn't go as far to say that. I really wouldn't. But then again, you never really know. But I'm almost 99.99% sure that, you know, they are running a very profitable shop over there at Citadel. I mean, really, just look at the returns of a lot of the quantitative hedge funds on Wall Street, right? Take a look at 2 Sigma. Take a look at Jump Trading. They're another proprietary trading house that is mainly quantitative, and they all produce very good returns. Very good. Troy Atman, my God. I won't read that comment out loud, but funny. John Shriver, what's up? Says, looks nice in South Beach. It is. This is Ocean Drive we are walking down now. Yeah, Jaffet says 16 billion in a recession is bananas. Well, here's the thing. You know, if you're talking about a proprietary trading operation, you need volatility to make money, right? If you are a trader, right? So when I think about the term trader, I think holding periods of about maybe 1 week to about 3 months. And I'm not sure the average holding period for Citadel Securities, but I think it is very, very low. And with quantitative strategies, you can produce a ridiculous amount of alpha. So here's another thing I'll say, because we have a lot of people here that are looking to get internships on Wall Street. Now, the most lucrative jobs on Wall Street now are the quantitative researchers, in my view. So if you're a computer science major, if you're in the CS, anything like that, I would strongly suggest looking into a lot of these summer analyst programs at like a Citadel, a Jump Trading, a 2 Sigma. These are a lot of the quantitative shops on the street, and very lucrative opportunities. Now, also, if you want to go into investment banking and become an investment banker, I would highly suggest trying to stay in the M&A or merger and acquisition side of the house. You can also try to go into sales and trading or S&T. However, sales and trading really doesn't have you don't really make the thunder money like you once used to, right? Obviously, due to the quantitative trading, not many people are actually calling up their broker dealer anymore. So if I were to go into investment banking, I'd stay in like M&A, tech, healthcare investment banking, as opposed to a sales and trading position. But that is just my view. Dr. Longus says Apple aren't laying any people off, are they? I think Apple's the only major tech company that didn't announce any layoffs. And the reason why I think that Apple didn't announce any layoffs is because they didn't go crazy with hiring people. Now, last night on the live stream, we talked about Meta specifically, and we talked about Alphabet specifically. So for those of you who missed the live stream yesterday, here's a pretty interesting exercise that I would highly suggest you do. Go to sec.gov, type in the ticker symbol Meta, type in the ticker symbol for Google or Alphabet, GOOGL. Beautiful Art Deco buildings here. And do a 3-year look back and notice how many employees these companies added over the last 2 to 3 years alone. I think you'll be rather blown away. The headcount is absolutely ballooned. So I really don't think these layoffs are anything out of the ordinary, in my opinion. Hey Vivian, what's up? Says there's also a nice tobacco store in Hollywood, Florida. They make Cuban cigars on the site. Very, very cool. I'm not a cigar smoker, but definitely looks cool for sure. Michelle Henry is here. Says, hey Tom, and hey everybody, what's up? Western Mass Dave says because we relied so much on tech during the pandemic. You're right. But if you guys have been enjoying the live stream so far, feel free to hit the like button and click the subscribe button if you're new. Again, we do these live streams about 5 days per week between New York City and Miami while discussing the financial markets. If you want to connect with us on Twitter, you could follow us at Walks Wall Street. I post some of my thoughts there throughout the day and interesting content that I think will help the audience. It's where I share much of my ideas as well. Over here is the ocean. I think it's going to be a little bit too dark for you guys to see it, but the ocean's right there. This is the Hotel Victor. Hey, SME Media, what's up? Happy Saturday, SME Media, welcome. Damn, look at these trucks. East Smith says a lot of people from California are moving to Florida. I think a lot of people from California are moving to like Nevada, Texas, and Arizona too, aren't they? I think people are just trying to move to more affordable places to live. And that's the funny thing, is because Southern Florida used to be a more affordable place, but now it's almost as expensive as New York. This is a really nice building here. All right, we got to put a little bit of pep in our step, team, because I got to get home. I don't really like driving too late on the scooter, especially on a Saturday night in Miami for obvious reasons. But this was a fun night, man. This was really fun. I'm glad I came down here to South Beach. I never come to South Beach. We usually only do the stream from Brickell, but it was a really good time. Hey, AK, what's up? Action Kid. I know you go to South Beach a lot more than I do. This is the first time I think I've been here in, I think literally almost, 8 months now? It's awesome here, man. Tons of people. It's not too crazy like during spring break. It's awesome here. I think I want to spend more time here. I'm going to take the scooter here more often. Hey, Steph UH, thank you so much. Ha, Troy Atman, yeah, so that's definitely a law, 100%. Hey, Jeff Pickles says hello from Yorkshire, England. What's up, Jeff? Welcome to Miami. Hopefully you'll be able to come here one day in person. Oh, look at these guys on the board. I think those are longboards. All right, let's make a right here.
Because we would have our own autonomy. We would have the control of our own police and our own communities. But we're too busy following after the goddamn slave man and slave master. Right?
I see those guys in New York all the time. They follow me down here to Florida. Hey, Sam Morgano, what's up? Sam, are you ready for the Fed week? Next week is it's going to be the big day. We're going to hear from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Now, futures are pricing in about a 70% probability, I think, of another 25 basis point rate hike. This is the breakwater. Okay, I gotta cross the street because the office is on the right-hand side. Hey, Ryan Royal, what's up, my friend? Says I'm loving these beautiful neon lights of South Beach. Yeah, it's a pretty nice change. I think South Beach is growing on me. I didn't really used to like it. I think you guys knew that, but it's actually growing on me. I kind of like it. Hey, Frank Garcia says, Tom, what is the whole idea on taxing stock buybacks? Yeah, so we talked about that, and that's actually in effect right now. So on any new share repurchase program that is announced by any major company, it is going to be subject to a 1% excise tax. And I think Chevron just announced the largest share repurchase program in history ever for any company. So I guess it's really not acting as a deterrent, right? But that will be subject to a 1% excise tax on any new share repurchase program or stock buybacks. And the reason, in my view, and last year when we were doing these live streams, we sort of talked about this. There's two main ways to return value to shareholders for a company. Number one, obviously, is dividends, right? And number two is share buybacks. Now, hold on, let me cross here, let me focus. Sometimes there's like these supercars that blow like 90 miles an hour down Ocean Drive. I'm trying to avoid that. Anyway, when you have a dividend, it is taxable. It is a taxable event. So if you distribute $2 a share in dividends to your investors, you're going to have to pay tax on that. And it is very, very high taxes at that. However, companies, I shouldn't use the term avoid taxes, but they get around taxes by launching share repurchase programs, in which case they buy back their own shares of stock. And this does a couple things. This reduces the overall float of shares outstanding, thus increasing the EPS, or earnings per share. Does that make sense? So if you reduce the overall amount of shares outstanding, and let's say an investor then goes to buy the stock, well, you are getting more per share for the earnings. Does that make sense? So you increase the EPS. So governments want to get their grimy hands on the tax dollars. So as a way to sort of cut the head off of that snake, or deter the loophole, they said, all right, a lot of companies have been shifting their strategies from just issuing dividends to doing buybacks, and we want our taxes, right? Uncle Sam is always going to have his hand out. So I think it was last year. I think it was Congress passed the act where on any new share repurchase program, it is automatically right off the top subject to a 1% excise tax. Now, there was a lot of controversy. Obviously, a lot of Republicans argued that it's going to be bad because it's going to deter investment, and on and on and on. But I don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, to be quite honest. I mean, just look what happened with Chevron. Even though that they're going to have to pay that 1% tax on that record buyback, they still launched the program, and they still launched a record. I think this was the largest buyback program by any company ever, I think. All right, where are we now? I think we have a couple more blocks to go. Our piece is, what do you see the housing market doing over the next 6 months? Well, it's interesting because here's what we've been seeing. Obviously, right, just in very layman's terms, as interest rates go up, usually, right, again, keyword usually, home prices go down. But we haven't really been seeing the drastic sell-off Oh, I think this is the CVS of Scarface. Hold that thought for one moment. So this is where they filmed the movie Scarface, I think. You guys know I never seen this movie, but maybe some of you would enjoy it. Let me cross the street so you guys could have a better view. But in generally speaking, interest rates are going up, right? If you think about this time last year, the average interest rate on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 3%. Now it's 6.5%. That's a 100% increase. So assuming you buy a $400,000 piece of property, right? You put 20% down, your mortgage, your payment is going to be 100% higher than it was. That is going to wreak havoc on demand, and it has. Now, there's two indicators that we can look at. Number one is the National Association of Realtors existing home sales. And existing home sales have been absolutely falling off a cliff. That is correct. However, if you look at new home sales have actually been going up. There's been a 3-month rolling average where new home sales in the United States have actually been increasing. We talked about that yesterday on the live stream. So if I was a first-time home buyer in this environment, this is what I would do. Now, I can't tell anybody what to do, but this is what I would do. Let's say if you're looking for a single-family home, duplex, or a triplex, this is what I'd do. I would go look at the neighbor. I would always, first and foremost, always be looking for deals. Regardless of if you're in a buying habit or not, you should always be looking for deals 24/7, 365. You should be shopping deals, regardless, if you want to be serious as a real estate investor. But I think we are at a very, very unique time in the market where I think that property values are going to decline over the next year. Now, I could be wrong, right? But that is I think we have an asymmetric trade here. I think you have an asymmetric bet. There's a lot of asymmetry here. So I would look at the neighborhood you want to buy in, and I would go and rent there for 6 months. So I would talk to a lot of the landlords and negotiate with them and say, hey, would you accept a 6-month lease? What this will allow you to do is this will allow you to actually live and breathe the neighborhood for 6 months and see if you actually really like the neighborhood, right? So not only are you getting some very good feet on the street research of the neighborhood you want to buy in, because maybe you rent there for 6 months and you're like, oh my gosh, the neighbors are horrible, it floods a lot, whatever, and then you save yourself from heartache. Or you love the property, you're like, wow, I love this neighborhood, I've rented here for 6 months, and guess what? Property prices are starting to decline. Then you could buy after 6 months or a year when property values come down. Because I don't think that property values are going to go up in 6 months, right? That's what you call an asymmetric bet. So if I was a first-time home buyer, I wouldn't freak out. I would stay composed. I would go rent for 6 months in the neighborhood that I want to buy and constantly check in and negotiate deals. Because if you look at the National Association of Home Builders, existing home sales transaction volumes are falling off a cliff. And usually what happens when sales transactions dry up, if sellers are motivated, they drop their prices. So that's what I would do. I think that property values are going to go down. It doesn't mean that they are, right? It doesn't mean that I'm going to be right. But you sort of have to take a calculated risk here. But that's just my opinion. I don't know, what do you guys think? A lot of you are way more experienced than me. I'm more interested in hearing what you guys have to say. Oh, take a look at the moon here over Miami. Beautiful. Hey, Ninus is excellent advice, Tom. Must be around the area of anticipating to purchase property before pulling the trigger to buy. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. Like, you should never feel pressure like you need to buy now, right? Because quite literally, There is always, like, guys, just think about it like this. There's a home on every street corner in America, quite literally. You're not gonna miss your opportunity to buy something. Homes are for sale tomorrow, they're gonna be for sale in 20 years from now, and they're gonna be for sale in 120 years from now. Just make sure you're getting a good deal for you. Don't be pressured by some real estate agent, right? And there's a lot of very good real estate agents out there, right? But the point I'm trying to make is get a good deal. Focus on the good deal. Don't focus on trying to, time the exact top or time the exact bottom. But if you can make a calculated bet and say, look, interest rates are going up, existing home sales are falling off a cliff, mortgage originations are falling off a cliff, I think prices are going to go down. Well, then take that bet, rent for 6 months, and if prices go down, you just got yourself a nice discount. Don't feel the need to buy right now and FOMO in. Go rent somewhere, get to know the neighborhood. I think this is a Ferrari. That's a nice car. It's a really nice car. Our piece is looking for short-term Airbnb property, however, steep 25% down payment. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you're looking into short-term rental investments, you really have to do your due diligence on the renter laws. Because there's a lot of places, especially like South Beach in Miami, where Airbnb is not allowed. And you also need to anticipate the laws. Because a lot of people, unfortunately, have abused short-term rental applications such as Airbnb, and legislation is going to be passed to deter that. So, in my view, you shouldn't let your entire investment thesis ride on one thing, such as Airbnb, right? In my opinion. So you really have to do diligence on that. And don't over leverage these properties, and make sure you're very well capitalized before you buy. Now, here's something that I would do, and which I actually do. We all know it's difficult. Well, it's becoming more increasingly difficult for younger people to acquire real estate, right? For obvious reasons. So if you can inconvenience yourself while you're young, it'll afford you the opportunity. Oh, look at this. This is kind of cool. It'll afford you the opportunity to do something that's called house hacking. So say, for example, you're a 25, 24-year-old kid. You want to buy a piece of property. What you could do is you could buy a single family home, right? You could live in one of the rooms, but then you could rent out your spare bedrooms. So you could have all of the tenants sign a 12-month lease, because chances are if you get a job after college and you go out on your own and you rent an apartment, you're going to be living with roommates anyway. So you might as well have your roommates pay down the debt on your property. So if you want to buy the property and live with roommates for 3 or 4 years, allow those roommates to build the equity in your property for you. And then, if you want to get your own place, you move out, you get another roommate, you're renting all 4 of the rooms, and then go rent someplace else or go buy another piece of property. But you always, generally speaking, you want to have a tenant paying down the debt. You never really want to be coming out of pocket for your own housing, if that makes sense. You always want to try to find a way for somebody else to subsidize your cost of living. And you could do that through very creative ways like that. Providing a nice place for people to live, house hacking, finding roommates, things like that. This is where I ate dinner tonight, this place. Right there, that burger joint. It's pretty good. Yeah, Mimi says it's so hard to find good roommates. Yeah, that's true. I mean, living with roommates isn't ideal, right? But again, I'd rather be inconvenienced when I'm young than living with roommates when I'm like 50 years old, right? So if you can delay your instant gratification as long as possible and really put the nose to the grindstone when you're young, you know, you're going to be in a very, very good position later on in life. Yeah, Western Mass Dave. Western Mass Dave says I could never live with roommates. I just don't have the personality for it. I respect that. I respect that. DA says, hey Tom, what do you think of a 2-family house, first floor, 3 beds, second floor, selling for $495? It depends on where it is. Depends on where it is. This is a cool place. Orilla Bar and Grill. Hey, Toby Sanchez. What's up, my friend? Good to see you. Steph UH says location, location, location. That is correct. I agree. Mimi says, what part of the country do you foresee being a good investment in house buying right now? Well, I mean, again, if it were me, we're sort of talking, and I got to cut you guys loose because I really got to get out of here. We've been streaming for over 2 hours, crazy. But we will continue this conversation tomorrow. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please follow @WalksOnWallStreet. Thank you guys for coming out. But I think property value is going to come down. That's my opinion. But we'll talk about it a little bit more tomorrow. But we have a lot of interesting, cool, fun news coming up on the channel. I think you guys are going to like it. Yeah, a lot of changes. 2023 has already been off to a freaking banger start. Yeah, that's all I could say right now. But a lot of stuff coming, a lot of changes already in my life for the better. It's going to be very, very. It's just going to be awesome, guys. We are going to have so much success this year. Okay, not only me, but everybody watching the chat. That you guys are going to get sick of the success. You're going to be like, oh my God, I am so successful. I'm killing it in life. I'm telling you, 2023, it's going to be a freaking banger of the year. Mark my words. But I got to cut you guys loose. I want to wish everybody a wonderful rest of the weekend. Please be safe if you're out and about this weekend. Drive safe. Enjoy it with your family and your friends. And we'll see you right back here tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. for the Markets A Look Ahead live stream. Thank you everybody for coming out tonight, and we will see you all tomorrow. So DA, thank you so much. Dr. Longest, SME Media, Ryan Royal. Abdullah Two Wheel Freedom, thank you so much. FredX, DA, Steph UH, Joan K, Nina, appreciate it. Susanna Q4, Richard Vogel, Vivian, Tom Barry, Thamer, Frank Garcia, Bree Grams, Austin City Limits, all of our good moderators, Myra King, John Abrams, or Abraham, Joseph Hardaway, 45, thank you so much. James, RP, Ryan Iglesias, Andy, Halti, NG, and to the Mighty Bull, have a good night wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Stay safe, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday, and we will see you all tomorrow. Thanks for coming out, and thanks for hanging out with me on this beautiful Saturday night in Miami. Thank you.